Sorry, move back here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Football Huddle. I am your host, Jace, LeJeune. Great for y'all to be here on this live stream, too. Appreciate everybody that's watching this live stream on this Football Friday. And it's a Football Friday because the NFL draft's going on. And, we'll actually probably get a chance to talk a little bit about it and just kind of give our thoughts at the very end at the Football Huddle. What we think about the draft so far and the first round. I think that was one of the craziest first rounds I've ever seen or experienced watching the NFL draft, and I'm sure we'll take a look at it too as we go towards the end of this episode. But what we're going to do here on the Football Huddle, as always, we're going to talk about what we got going at Gridiron Football. So you can see the website right above me, gridironfootballusa.com is the website's actually above me and below me. So check out what us three and even more of our beat writers what we do at Gridiron Football and the content that we put out. Make sure to go to our website, check it out. But if you have missed some of the content, well, we're going to talk about some of the content we put up, get y'all updated what's going on at gridironfootballusa.com. Before we go into the show, I have to thank the sponsors as always. So first off, Mr. Willie Johnson Jr. and the Johnson Law Group. Catastrophic injuries, 18-wheeler, vehicle accidents, and he also handles civil litigation too. So if you happen to be in a predicament, because it happens to the best of us, make sure to go to the Johnson Law Group. Excellence and Hope in Action is their motto. The offices in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Zachary, and give them a call if you happen to get in a predicament like those three I just talked to you about. Call Mr. Willie Johnson Jr. and his team at 225-717-7070. And if you happen to live in the Mississippi area, and we're going to talk about Mississippi here on the Football Huddle, we'll go into that. But make sure to go to, if you want to get involved with something, if you want to get involved and do something, well, get involved with the Mississippi State Guard, right? And for more information on that, go to www.msstateguard.org. And then finally, Terrence with Ultimate Apparel does a great job providing uniforms for us. And he even told us that the partnership with Gridiron Football has helped a whole lot for him. So make sure to tell him that Gridiron Football sent you over to Terrence. Go to his website at ultimateapparel.com. Can't appreciate those three sponsors enough for allowing us to host shows like these. Now we got that out the way. We mentioned the sponsors, and we thank y'all as well. We're going to go into the content of the show, right? So we're going to go into the Football Huddle, and we're actually going to start. Since he came in a little bit late, I'm going to let him go first. So I'm going to go with Connor Pedersen. And Connor, really, you cover Mississippi, so in speaking of the Mississippi State Guard, so tell us what's going on in Mississippi just in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so right now we have two new schools that I've been able to speak with, some head coaches that were willing to talk to us. First one is going to be Van Cleve High School. We spoke with head coach Kevin Fant. So Van Cleve, they're coming off an 8-4 season last year, their second round of the playoffs. So that's one of their better seasons since 2010, according to Coach Kevin Fant. They are in the 5A class. And they're really just an old school physical type team that is just going to play smash mouth football, as we like to call it. So they understand that their opponents might be a little bigger and faster, but they're going to hit you in the mouth and they're going to play some hard football. They're losing 13 seniors from last season, so they have a lot of holes to fill. But he made sure to let me know that sometimes you only lose 3 or 4 guys, but those guys might be the glue of the team, and so they have to just move forward every year with that same mentality. That way when they lose 12 or when they lose 1, they still go into the next season with the right mindset. So defensively, they're going to run a 3-4 with 2 safeties high, and then offensively, they're going to mainly play out of a 2-back I formation, but they can move they're multiple, and they can even come out to 4 wide. And it's all just going to be a very physical brand of football, like I mentioned. So some of the players to keep an eye out for, the first one that he mentioned was Hunter Parker. He's going to be their quarterback, played quarterback for them last year. He's a smaller guy, They gave him a little comp to Doug Flutie. So he said, he's just got passion, and that's how he succeeds on the field with that predicament of not being the biggest guy out on the field. He plays with passion. He can run the ball and pass it, and they really are hoping to open up the offense for him and around him next year. He also plays shortstop as in the pitching rotation for the baseball team in Van Cleve. And then we have 2 wide receivers who are just really big locker room and on-field leaders in Asher Henley and Leighton Eater. I apologize. So they have a good season coming up with some big expectations. And then finally we have Aiden Hood. He's a 6-foot cornerback and safety, and he's a just big defensive leader for the Van Cleve Bulldogs. So we're going to move on to our next school. We had the pleasure of speaking with Coach Doug Goodwin from Jackson Prep High School. And so Jackson plays in the Prep League, basically. So it's the MAIS instead of MASSA.
Right.
There's a bunch of letters in there, but it's a different league. But they are the winningest team program in the state of Mississippi with 20. Let's see. I don't have that number, but they're the winningest thing. Yeah,
they won so much it's too many to count.
Too many to count. But yeah, so Coach Goodwin was very kind enough to speak with us. They won last year, so they're coming off a win. And the expectation is that every year they're looking to win that state championship game, and they've been very successful in doing that. So Coach Goodwin has had a very interesting path. He was a head coach in Alabama from various different schools in Alabama for over 27 years. Then he ended up coming on to the Auburn staff, working with Auburn football, and then moved over to Ole Miss and was there for, I believe, 2 years. With another role, he worked with special teams, I believe. And then he wanted to get back into, it was an analyst. And so now he wanted to get back into coaching and had the opportunity to go back to Jackson Prep, and he's really enjoyed his time there. They are multiple on offense. They are going to run a lot of one-back sets, but can use 2 or 3 backs depending on the situations. And then defensive, they're going to be multiple. They run odd and even fronts, and it really just depends on the offense. But he really has a good system that's been rolling there. And we've got some players that we want to shout out here. Micah Stallworth, who we just did a diamond in the rough on, is a defensive back, 5'11", 190 pounds. Really, really good tackler, but he runs well and he has great ball skills. So he's a whole package at DB there. Then we have Peyton Puckett, who is a tight end. He's 6'3.5", 220 pounds, runs great, catches the ball, and they utilize him in a lot of different ways. He's not your just basic tight end who's going to block and run simple routes. They're really running the offense around him as well. And then we have Owen McCraney, who's a 6'4" wide receiver with great hands. He can run, and he's huge. So what don't you want there from a receiver? And then we have our running back, Blake Womack, who was having a great year until we came down with an ACL injury. And so we're coming back this year, and hopefully the goal is for him to break out and have a fantastic year. So that's all that I have in the Mississippi realm for right now. But yeah, if we got any coaches out there that want any publicity for their players, for their programs, let us know. And you can see the rest of our content at gridironfootballusa.com.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Connor. And like you said, there's a lot to talk about there, a lot of talent in Mississippi. And it's a really good lean-in because you talked about Jackson Prep and the MAIS, and it's pretty cool because in the MAIS there's a lot of, obviously, Mississippi schools, but there's actually a lot of good lead-in, good segue, because there's actually some Louisiana schools that play MAIS. So, and that's what we got. So we got the bordering states, Louisiana, Mississippi. So obviously Mississippi first, and then we're going to talk about Louisiana. I cover Louisiana too, but I know that yourself and Nick have written a whole lot this week about a lot of the guys that actually went to our Rayville camp, and we're actually I'm going to put an article about that camp pretty soon, so make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. But y'all have actually done one-on-one articles on a lot of those guys throughout the week. So yeah, it's been a lot of content Louisiana-wise. So Ellis, tell us what's been going on in the boot.
Yeah, so starting off in Louisiana, up in northeast Louisiana, haven't really covered too much on the football huddle here, but the first school I got is Washita Christian School in Monroe, Louisiana. They're coached by Coach Stephen Fitzhugh, who's been their head coach for the past 26 years. Some notable alumni from OCS include Rudy Nieswanger, who he played center
LSU.
for the Chiefs and also went to LSU as well. Yep. Eric Edwards, who was a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Or no, he was actually a tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. Sorry, got that wrong. And the last player is actually a baseball player, Jake Slaughter. He came through LSU not too long ago, and now he's with the Chicago Cubs minor league team. But he started playing football at OCS as well. And the school has 8 state titles. The most recent one coming in this past season against Vermilion Catholic. And the team has a very strong return with 7 starters coming back on offense and 8 coming back on defense. Some impact players include senior offensive lineman Ryder Bentley. Ryder is a 6'5", 275-pound offensive tackle, and he's recently got offers to play at schools like Louisiana Tech, University of Louisiana Monroe, Memphis, and Tulsa. So he's got a lot of offers going in. Still a guy that's got a lot of size playing. And also with that, senior wide receiver Tate Hamby is also another star player for the OCS offense. Tate's a 6'2", 180-pound wide receiver in the 2024 class. And he holds offers from schools like Vanderbilt, ULM, Louisiana Tech, Jacksonville State, and also Tulane University in New Orleans. So their offense is in good hands with those 2 guys. They got a lot of other talented players besides them, but those are the 2 that I would mention. Mm-hmm. And as for the defense, seniors Noah Lovelady and Ben Duvall are also 2 players to keep an eye out on. Noah Lovelady is a 6'1", 210-pound linebacker for the Eagles. He runs a 4.55 40-yard dash and also is a 2-time All-State selection with a 3.96 GPA. So he's got the grades to back it up too. And on the other side on the line is Ben Duvall. Ben's a 6'3", 250-pound edge player, and he also has a 4.0 GPA and a 79-inch wingspan. So Ben's also received offers from schools like Furman, Southeast Missouri State, and also University of Missouri Valley College. And with all this talent, the OCS Eagles are a very experienced team. They've got experience playing in state championships as well, and they have the accolades to show for it. So they're a team definitely to keep an eye out on this upcoming season.
Yeah, you think of Washita Christian, Coach Fitzhugh is one of the best coaches out there, a Hall of Fame coach in his own right. We did cover the state championship this year, so them being Vermilion Catholic, and you actually can go still on our website and find like clips, highlights from that game, and also Ellis, like you said, just written an article about them. But there's actually, not a lot of people know about this, but there's actually a future NFL Hall of Famer, and actually an LSU, definitely an LSU Hall of Famer, that actually played at Washita Christian, but not a lot of people remember it. Andrew Whitworth actually started his career at OCS before going to West Monroe. So not a lot of people know about that fact. Yeah. So a lot of history there.
Definitely a Hall of Famer in both.
Yeah, definitely a Hall of Famer in both sports. 6'8" tackle. Can really do it all, and I mean he's been a whole career. I mean, like almost 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. In the NFL. So, is there anything else you got for us, Ellis?
No, that's everything for OCS. Cool. But another school staying in the same city in Monroe, Louisiana, is Neville High School. Okay. And Neville's coached by head coach Jeff Tannehill. He's been there the past 3 seasons, and he's had good success. They've had pretty good winning seasons. But some notable alumni from Neville High School include current players, including Justin Ellis, who's the Giants defensive tackle, Fedarian Mathis, who's currently an offensive lineman for the Washington Commanders. New York Jets offensive lineman Max Mitchell is another player who was drafted, I think it was 2 years ago. pretty high in the first round, I believe. I think like in the 20s. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
wrong
he
about it,
was. I
actually.
think he was like a senior when Will Campbell was just starring out.
Mhm.
So that was
Yeah, and then last player's specialist Cavante Turpin, who's plays for the Dallas Cowboys. He's
Mhm.
got a lot of shine from his preseason highlights, and also had a couple returns this season. But Neville also has 12 state championship titles, and in 17 appearances. The most recent title comes in 2015 in a 45-16 win against a 14th seed Ed Carr that made it all the way to the state championships. They have a surplus of return this season, and they've only lost 8 starters on both sides, like counting both sides of the offense and defense. Starting with the defensive side of the ball this time, defensive end Brody Watley is a player to keep an eye out on. He's a 6'3", 240-pound defensive lineman for the Tigers. He's currently ranked a 3-star recruit in the class of 2025, and he holds 2 offers from Baylor and Tulane. Another player to keep an eye on is 5'10", 185-pound class of 2024 linebacker Breland Robinson. Breland is a strong guy. He's got a 375-pound squat, 245-pound bench press, and he really uses his power to get through offensive linemen when trying to make a play. As for the offensive side of the ball, players like Jalen Nichols and Caleb Vaughn are 2 guys that you should keep your eye out for. Jalen is a 5'11", 170-pound running back in the class of 2025. He's very explosive with the ball in his hands, and he had a rush for over 1,000 yards this past season, and the coach said he's looking to do it again this next season. So definitely keep an eye on him. And last player I got is Caleb Vaughn. Caleb's a 5'9", 160-pound slot receiver and return specialist for the Tigers. He's class of 2025, and he runs a 4.43.
Wow.
And he really likes to show his speed on the field when returning the ball. So, yeah, that's definitely the last guy that you should keep your eye out for.
Yeah,
this
definitely. And it's crazy that LSU Tigers sticking on the offensive line, right? I mentioned about Andrew Whitworth earlier, but Will Campbell, he was from Neville, and then his teammate in high school, so he was the left tackle. The right tackle's Lance Hurd. He's coming in to LSU too, so who knows? That could be, one day your 2 starting tackles, both from Neville High School at LSU. So I bet that's pretty cool to see. So those are 2 obviously heavyweight programs in North Louisiana. Talking about the Neville Tigers and the Wausau Christian Eagles. Read more about those 2 programs and what makes them so good, makes them click, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also all your other content, Ellis, where should
you
reviewers
can
go
find
to?
it at GridironFootballUSA.com, right behind us.
Yep, GridironFootballUSA.com. Above me, below me. I mean, you can't miss it, right? GridironFootballUSA.com. So appreciate all the content, guys. And we got a couple of extra minutes. And this just happened. So let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft. So
Sweet.
There's a lot really going on.
I called
yesterday.
this C.J. Stroud pick.
So you were the ones that
So
called.
I've been saying it was going to happen.
Of course.
I think they're dumb if they don't take it.
It was
So.
too obvious.
And then they just the best of both worlds. And they just get to take Will Anderson right after. So
You
it all
build-
worked out for everybody that thought Will Anderson was going too.
Yeah, that was, I thought, a genius move by the Texans because you can build, you get your offensive guy, you build around, you get your defensive guy, you build your franchise around. So, I mean, that's the Texans, man, they masterfully did that.
Do they have a second round pick? I mean, they have to.
I know there was like
Now we need a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need a receiver. Let's pick up some, and then now we're talking. These Texans. If Stroud performs, you don't know what they could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
in the AFC South,
I mean,
it's open. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to own it, but it's still open.
Yeah. I mean, the Texans could be right back there in a couple years.
Yeah.
I mean, competing with the Jaguars. It was like the Jaguars were trying to take ownership of the AFC South, but the Texans took some major strides to get back in the works. But those first couple of picks, it was crazy the way the draft started.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember. Now everybody knew, Bryce Young was going to be the number 1 overall pick with the Panthers. That wasn't surprising. After that, it was crazy. Talk about what the Texans did, trade to get that 3rd pick, and then what the Colts did in drafting Anthony Richardson number 4. I mean, that was insane as well.
Yeah, that's really a player that I wouldn't. If you told me, I guess after the first season, he had a really great first game of the season, and everyone was projecting him to go first overall. But seeing him fall to 4, pretty good to see, and nice for the Colts to finally draft a quarterback since having Andrew Luck. It didn't turn out too great with him, but
and getting a bunch of older guys like Phil Rivers and Carson Wentz and So hopefully they got their guy. But that draft pick pretty much tells me that not only they like Anthony Richardson, because everybody talks about him being a project and being a guy that can develop, but they want him to be the starter right now. So that told me a whole lot of them drafting Anthony Richardson that early on.
For sure.
And just looking at later in the draft, I mean, the Falcons got Bijan Robinson. I thought that was a pretty good pick for them, an interesting pick. Now, I know the Eagles, they love their Georgia guys. I mean, you just saw at the beginning of the draft, Jalen Carter. They already got Jordan Davis last year. They got Nakobe Dean, I think, last year. And then at the end of this draft, they got Nolan Smith. So, yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, they really like their Georgia Bulldogs, and I can't blame them, right? They just won the last 2 national championships.
Yeah, they're a defense that were number 1 last year and the year before. I mean, why not take as many players from that defense as you can get?
Yeah, I mean, some other names. The Lions getting Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama.
Wow.
I really like that pick for Detroit. I mean, I watched him live against.
It's a good little 1-2 punch right there with
with Swift
and Gibbs,
and
then the whole receiver. Yeah,
I mean, I really like that.
Do a lot there.
Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, I saw him live against LSU. I mean, every time I saw him,
the way he runs.
He reminds me so much of Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like a clone. You know, I wish the Saints somehow, someway had a chance to get him, but it's just too early off the board. The Jets getting a defensive guy, I found that pretty interesting with Aaron Rodgers coming in, and Aaron Rodgers, there was some stat that every year he was with the Packers, and included this year too. I think 13 to 14 years, it was all defensive guys first
that
round.
Was drafted.
And then the one offensive guy was Jordan Love. So that's something.
Well, I don't know, because it seems like he was talking about that he had like a wish list of players. So I don't know. I'm not even sure. Were there some receivers taken early or no? Or maybe he was just like, I don't think any of them are worthy. Maybe so.
Yeah, I think the first receiver off the board
Quentin Johnson
was Njigba.
Oh, Njigba and
then Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, actually they had a string.
Wow. Yeah, they started it off.
Because it was so Seahawks got the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's scary.
Gonna be scary. They're gonna be scary.
They got Legion of Boom 2.0 with their picks.
And that wide receiver, I mean, you have DK Metcalf,
that's
Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I bet Geno Smith's just licking his chops right now. I bet he's so excited to get that receiving core. The Chargers, I thought that was a really smart pick for them too, to get Quentin Johnson, because they have a talented receiving crew, but they're not hurt. They're always hurt.
8 games out of the year. So
I think they really wanted Jackson Smith and Jigba, but they were
one pick off.
Yep.
Zay Flowers, that's another wide receiver in Baltimore. Let's see if Baltimore can get it right. They drafted a bunch of first-round picks on wide receivers.
Let's
see if Zay Flowers.
They just locked in Lamar too. So
added Odell Beckham. We'll see the passing game. Improves. Over in Baltimore. Minnesota getting Jordan Addison. I like that pick too. Trying to get that complimentary too. Justin Jefferson. So see how that works out.
Yeah, it seems like Thielen's kind of, so we need.
Yeah, I think Thielen's in Carolina.
Yeah, he left, but I was saying last year you could see that he was. I think he was starting to decline a little bit from what he had been performing with earlier. So you needed someone in there.
Well, get involved with the group chat. We got about 6 more minutes left until we get off. So if there's any guys that y'all feel like were big winners, any NFL teams y'all feel like were big winners from the NFL draft, feel free to comment and give your take on who y'all thought came out as a big winner in the first round yesterday. Dalton Kincaid got drafted by Buffalo. I found that interesting because Dalton Knox is still there. And they traded up to get Dalton Kincaid.
He played insane in the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah.
He carried 100 people on his back. So
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either him or Michael Mayer too. From Notre
still
Dame.
on the
Was
board.
still on the board.
somehow. I
Yeah,
was wishing the
And what
Saints would
time
take him.
does the second round start?
yeah, that's
I
a
think
good question.
7 o'clock tonight as well. Maybe
Yeah.
6.
I think it's earlier for round 2. I could be wrong.
It
But
is.
I've got a vivid memory of Debo Samuel going like midday.
And that turned out to be a great pick.
Yeah, I was happy with that one.
Oh, let's see. What time is round 2 start? You can tell this is great.
7 p.m. Eastern.
6 o'clock.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that,
I'm in the West Coast when I was.
yeah,
it
right,
was daytime.
Right.
It was 4 o'clock.
I come from California.
I swear it was very light out. I was like at a pool or something.
So yeah, and I wasn't that busy yesterday. I got a chance to just watch the first round. There were no LSU guys drafted first round, but
And
you know
no Will
today.
Levis.
Yeah, no Will Levis.
And
That
no
was the
Will
big.
Levis.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was the
big
big.
one.
That was the big one.
Especially
No Will
after him, like he brought up his gambling odds there.
Yeah,
His
like number
odds.
2.
He moved from like plus 4,000 to minus 400. I mean to plus 400 in like one day because of some dude on Reddit.
Yeah.
Some guy on Reddit just started telling everybody that he was telling his family. So who knows? And then he didn't even get drafted. Maybe that had something to do with it.
I saw another thing, and it said it was him from, I think it might have been his pro day. He was talking about how he didn't feel like he would be on site at the draft if he didn't think he was going to go first round. And
Yeah, he's actually going back
so he's-
home.
Yeah. Oh, he is? He's not going to be.
Yeah, he's not going to be. He's not going to be in Kansas City today. Yeah, so that's crazy. Everybody was saying he was going to be the number 2 overall pick, and he wasn't even drafted in the
And
first round.
what did the Raiders end up doing?
The Raiders.
Because it seemed like, you signed Jimmy, so then what? Like, you're going to stick with that?
Yeah, I don't think they
I
were
don't
drafted
think they
first
did.
round. Oh, they get Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
number 7. That was the defensive end.
And
protected
Bijan
set.
going 8.
Yeah, Bijan going to Atlanta.
We're going back to running backs going the first round.
Yeah, that's 2 first round.
I thought we didn't do
running
that anymore. But
backs. I thought the running back
Yeah.
position was going extinct.
I thought it wasn't happening anymore.
Yeah.
They had to go round 2. But apparently we're back to the Melvin Gordon and who was the other guy that went round 1 that year? Oh, and Melvin Gordon, Wisconsin.
What was that?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
And those, I mean, they worked out, I guess, but are either of them really performing still? Like, that wasn't that long ago.
Mhm.
Leonard Fournette, too. Another top 5 pick.
I mean, the shelf life is just not there sometimes. So
Yeah. Another pick here, Chicago Bears select Darnell Wright from Tennessee. I thought that was a great pick. So that comes to show you that they
did
want
they
to build
sign
around
any
Justin
receivers
Fields.
over?
They traded for Claypool. For Chase
Yeah,
Claypool.
okay, I mean, yeah, but like,
And then
did
they also got...
they sign any free agent receivers?
They did. They have somebody.
Because that
Let me check.
And while you check,
if we do that, like, I mean, we're gonna have another year of them telling us that we just need to get Fields weapons until they start winning. Like,
DJ Moore.
okay,
That's what it
DJ
was.
Moore.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, it's the one. That's how we got to the first pick. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah, that's
All right.
right. They did get DJ
Yep.
Moore. Yep, you're right.
we'll see about that one. I guess.
The Saints got Brian Breezy from Clemson, defensive lineman, which is pretty much their need. They need a defensive
I
lineman.
would have
so.
liked to see him pick Nolan Smith, but
He
I think
came
that comes
a
just...
pick after that.
I think
Yeah.
that's just a little bit of the draft hype getting to me. I think Brian Brees is a
Oh, yeah.
smart
It's
selection.
a smart selection for the Saints.
Mhm.
It really is. So a lot to take away.
What would you say the Saints' biggest needs are?
I would say definitely the defensive line positions. Maybe it could have gone with Nolan Smith at the edge, but interior line for sure. We had another free agent signing of Keelan Sanders from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we got him for a 3-year deal. So it'll probably be Keelan Sanders and Brian Brees starting off in the trenches for Saints this season. So.
Yeah, but crazy NFL draft. I mean, from a first round, crazy day, especially those first couple picks. You get the trade. Arizona was very involved because I think they traded to get all those picks, and I think they traded with Detroit to get back to early up in the draft. So
Yeah.
Arizona was doing a lot of moving around throughout the draft. So Yeah, I think the biggest winner has to be the Texans. I mean, just what they did. It has to be the Houston Texans. You get back-to-back top 3 picks. I mean, you drafted Derek Stingley, so hopefully last year, so he can be a lockdown corner for you. Last year, I mean,
you got Damian Pierce
at running back, and then you have
Laramie Tunsil. They got
Laramie
2
Tunsil.
Linemen that are just.
You got your quarterback. You
Yeah.
got C.J. Stroud.
You got
Anderson.
DeMeco Ryan.
Yeah, DeMeco Ryan's a former
Signed Jimmy
Texans
Ward.
coach. Yep. So the Texans, I feel like they came out as the biggest winners.
They're plugging in pieces right now. I
Mm-hmm.
think, it's been a really long time since they've done it. So
I feel like the Eagles had themselves a really good draft, and they just keep on stacking up on Georgia guys, and really they're scary right now.
And
with
the
the Eagles
Seahawks as well.
Seahawks as well, getting Jackson Smith
those are
and Witherspoon at corner.
those are probably your 3 biggest winners. There,
I feel like those are your 3 biggest winners from the draft for sure.
Especially with I think the Eagles and like you're saying, the Seahawks for sure, because their picks, they have a streak of first-round picks that have turned out great last year. I know both teams got a lot of success out of their rookies last year.
Well, whoever thought, right? I mean, you have all these projections, right, about who's going what first, second. The top 2 quarterbacks entering college football last year was who? Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. Guess who were the top 2 picks? Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
So
they have not disappointed yet.
No, they haven't. And those are I love how both of those were childhood, friends growing up, from California.
Yeah, guys that had gone through Elite 11 and then college going against, or they did go against each other in the playoffs, I believe. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, it's a pretty cool first round. I was glad to watch it. I'm probably going to be a little bit more busy the next 2 days with LSU. And speaking of that, so any LSU guy that gets drafted will immediately get an article about that pick. So make sure to keep your eye on GridironFootballUSA.com when those picks come in. Today, I've said on the Chase with Jace too about this, but BJ Ojulari should get drafted today by somebody, and also I'm thinking like a guy like Jarbonnar Converse that balled out on pro day. He can be a guy to get drafted today. So I think 2nd and 3rd rounds today, and I think the rest of the draft tomorrow. Yeah. So next 2 days, probably going to be really busy with that. So make sure to go GridironFootballUSA.com. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this week's edition of the Football Huddle?
I think I'm all good.
Yeah,
you all good?
We're all good.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Sounds great. Appreciate Connor and Ellis for coming on here on the Football Huddle. Make sure to keep up what they're doing at GridironFootballUSA.com. Next week, we'll have the Football Huddle here on Fridays. And then next Wednesday, I'm going to try to set this up to either get an LSU recruit, could be a high school player, or I might get a current LSU player on the show. So that's kind of in the works too here on the Chase with Jace. So make sure you keep up with that. That's going to be next Wednesday. I'll keep y'all posted on what's going on and see if we get a player. If I do get a player next week, I'll even ask y'all if there's any questions that y'all want me to ask whoever player I bring in. So on the show. But I appreciate y'all guys for coming on the Football Huddle. Appreciate making the drive here and coming on and talking about 30 minutes about some high school football and then the NFL draft. In the meantime, if there's anything that you want to know about Gridiron Football, make sure to go to our YouTube channel. Make sure to go to our website. We'll have our camp articles there coming up soon. You can read all about the Dime and the Roughs and school spotlights we put up. We also got an upgraded look at the website too, so it looks really good. It looks great. I'm really impressed with the layout of the website. Appreciate a big shout out to Andy Bryson for making that work and doing an excellent job of upgrading the website and making it nice and clean and refreshed. So I appreciate all our sponsors too, the Johnson Law Group, Mississippi State Guard, and Ultimate Apparel. Appreciate all of y'all that have tuned in and watched the show. Either watch it live or going back and watch it after it was recorded. Appreciate all of y'all. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of the NFL draft. Enjoy y'all football weekend. And we'll talk to y'all next week here on the Football Huddle.
All right.
Nice.